Quebravo.com.
Oh yeah.
I'm standing in a slightly lower section of Merlot right now, and we're going to take a look at one of the reasons why most of the vineyard is being switched over to the Cordon Royat system. Again, the Cordon Royat is one branch going each direction from the plant, so a total of 2 branches, and they're relatively short. Let's pick a good plant that easily demonstrates what I'm about to talk about. So this is a Guyot plant. It's going to be cut back so that there's one branch, just one, and it's going to have all the growth for that year coming off this one main branch. And this is it. This is the one branch. One of the drawbacks with the Guyot is that you're going to be getting a lot more growth on the outside of the plant. I'm going to turn the camera a little bit so you can see. This is a shoot at the end, and it's the length of my hand, right? At the base of the plant, we're dealing with tiny little sprouts. Now, ideally, I want those tiny sprouts on all of my plants, because that ends up translating later on in the year into smaller grapes, more concentrated fruit, and more delicious wine. When I have larger growth, like I showed you at the end of the plant, it's a lot harder to keep in line. I end up having to do a lot more work all year round just to keep the yields low, manageable, and concentrated. I want you to see that all the plants are like this, with more growth on the end than on the base. Tiny growths, huge growth. Here we go, next plant down. Tiny growths, huge growths.
We've gone to what's called a Cordon Royat in French and referred to as spur pruning in English. And the spurs are these short cuts that you see here. And what is referred to as a cane, in this case, when you're on the Cordon Royat or the spur pruning, the cane stays. We'll leave that cane attached to the supporting wire for the rest of its days, and we'll always just trim here. And what that does for us is it gives us an even sprout on the budding, and the grapes will be much more. There'll be much less variation in the grapes. Where with the cane pruning system, the grapes are generally quite large at the end of the vine, and of course, if they're large, they're going to have more water, and they're not going to be as good quality as what this is going to give us. You can see the size of this bud and the size of this bud. They're relatively the same, and they'll remain that way, and they'll be much more concentrated grape.
And that is why the majority of this vineyard will soon be Cordon Royat.